Hello, Lauren here. Navigating the Labyrinth of Rumination. A gentle journey inwards. At the moment I'm writing a number of meditations, and that requires time, and that requires significant editing. During this writing, quite a few of you are writing to me about ruminating, overthinking, and the part overthinking plays in anxiety and stress. So today we are going to have a quiet talk, a talk which is aimed at helping you sleep, to explore some of these issues relating to overthinking. Firstly, welcome to this quiet time. This is a quiet time. Prepare yourself, dress in loose, comfortable clothing, and when you are ready, we will start. Sit down or lie down comfortably and we will begin. Tonight we're going to explore something that touches many of our lives. Our life experience. That word rumination, also referred to as overthinking, or possibly being fixated with a thought pattern, or several thought patterns. This overthinking is almost like a pebble rolling down a hill, gathering moss and getting bigger and bigger. Almost like thinking, and as we think, the thoughts get bigger rather than being categorized, sorted out, resolved. Classically, overthinking begets more overthinking. It becomes a pattern unto itself, and it leads to dissatisfaction, discontent, stress. The nature of rumination, beyond simple overthinking. Rumination is at times misunderstood. In our fast-paced world, our Western world of quick fixes, that microwave approach to life, that approach to wanting instant gratification, instant solutions. In Western society, we crave convenience, speed, the McDonald's hamburger approach to life. Wanting answers now, cookie cutter answers. Life is not like that. Life is complex, and that's okay. We can still analyze our lives, reflect upon our lives, and feel peace. It is possible. We are told in Western society that rumination is just negative, just simply negative overthinking, a habit to break, just break, a pattern to disrupt. But the reality is far more complex, more nuanced, and deserves gentle attention, understanding, learning, and processing. I focus here on the word learning. Learning how to think. That's a skill. When we look at research, we find that rumination isn't just one thing. It cannot be reduced to an Instagram reel, motto, or phrase. It is more complex. Dr. Susan Nolan Huxema, who pioneered much of the modern understanding of rumination, defines rumination as passively and repetitively focusing on symptoms of distress and the possible causes and consequences of these symptoms. But even this definition, as good as it is, and it is good, has evolved as our understanding deepens. Let's look at that one more time. Passively and repetitively focusing on symptoms of distress and the possible causes and consequences. So we have a process of thinking about distress, causes and consequences, and the repetition of that. Why do we think in patterns of rumination? As humans, we live to survive. We are more focused on survival than peace. This is instinctive. So it is also instinctive for our brains to possibly fixate or obsess upon distress in order to avoid it, and solutions, causes, consequences in order to avoid this happening again. But life is not that simple. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology by Watkins and Roberts makes an important distinction between two types of rumination: reflective pondering and brooding. Take a moment now and consider, what do you think these words mean in this context? Reflective pondering and brooding. Reflective pondering involves purposeful, direct, assertive problem solving. It involves sorting thought, categorizing thought, working out values, priorities, goals, and resolving. Closing, finishing. Reflective pondering can lead to insight, wisdom, and resolution. Brooding, on the other hand, involves passive comparison, resentment, looking back, a focus on unproductive remorse, feeling bad without the element of learning. Passive comparison of one's current situation with an unachieved standard, possibly an unrealistic standard, and this process of brooding perpetuates distress, goes unresolved. What is fascinating is that our bodies and our minds naturally engage in rumination as a response to stress or unresolved issues. Why does our body do this? Our body focuses on survival much more than joy or peace. Our body's will to stay alive is much higher than our body's desire to rest, rejuvenate, feel joy. So the body tends to look for risk, look for danger, real danger, or perceived danger. This pattern of the body, the mind looking for danger, grows upon itself. It can brood. It can lead to patterns of brooding, resentment, fixation, obsession, all stemming from the positive focus upon keeping safe. So our body's desire to keep us safe can actually lead into risk. The risk of stress from overthinking. Our ability to identify and call out these patterns and see which lead to resolution and which do not, and why, being the need to survive. By calling out and identifying these patterns, we are in a better position to manage overthinking. Overthinking is not necessarily dysfunctional. It's an attempt, a legitimate attempt to make sense of our life's experiences. It is our mind trying to categorize, trying to sort through life to give us a sense of safety. We need to ask ourselves, does this thought process bring us resolution or peace? If you've read the book by Maria Kondo, I think it's called something like The Joy of Decluttering or something like that. It's much the same with our minds. Maria talked about picking up an item in our houses, holding that item and saying, does this bring me joy? does this spark joy? I just loved that. With our minds, when we hold on to a thought, we can ask ourselves, does this thought spark resolution? Does this thought spark peace? If not, there are times to accept that some problems in life do not have answers, and through this we develop resilience, and at other times perhaps we need to seek other resources, look at the problem differently, see a professional, or go through mindful experience, mindful exercises, whether they are breathing, meditation, tai chi, a run, knitting, whatever mindful exercises suit you. Rumination has a purpose. Sometimes this purpose goes off the rails. It's up to us to find a way to work through the instinctive desire our body has to ruminate. Some problems in life just don't have answers. In these situations, we develop resilience, the ability to get back up, the ability to adjust, the ability to be okay anyway. The body's desire to ruminate can be an attempt to make sense of life, to integrate life, the experiences in our life, into our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Sometimes with trauma, with grief, with loss, there is no understanding. It's about accepting. With rumination, it's almost as if our minds are saying, wait, this matters. We need to look at this more closely. Looking at an issue more closely is supposed to be a healthy process which ends in resolution, resilience, rejuvenation, release. If it does not do so, this needs to be addressed. The complexity of our inner agreements. I find it helpful to think about rumination in terms of the agreements we make with ourselves and with others. We carry these agreements within us. Some are specific, explicit, some more implicit, some overt, some covert, some realized, some subconscious. For example, as a worker, as a career person, you may have an agreement with yourself to be professional. In your workplace, and as a father or mother, You may have an agreement with yourself to prioritize your child's needs. There may be times in life where your agreement, and each agreement has a set of values, your agreement to be professional in the workplace may conflict at times with your agreement to prioritize parenting. And sometimes the way through is complex, not easy. And that's life. So that's what I mean by agreements. We have a number of agreements with ourselves. You may have agreements with yourself about the kind of person you intend to be, the values you wish to embody, your intentions, and sometimes these values may not be congruent, may clash. And this can spark overthinking. Sometimes, yes, these agreements come into conflict. The agreement to be available to loved ones might clash with commitment to career. A good example. Desire for security might conflict with yearning for adventure. Remember, change comes. The ability to change comes from trying new things. Trying new things is scary, can be frightening. Humans like familiarity, the same, similar. If we cling to what is familiar, we don't grow. So there is an internal challenge, an internal disagreement within ourselves. Whether to stay within our comfort zones and do the same stuff, the same habits, or whether to change, try something new. We cannot try something new without learning. We cannot learn without failure. Failure lines the road towards success, achievement. Experiencing peace requires learning. Learning requires failure. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes a need for connection might feel at odds with a need for solace. We are best able to learn when we are alone. As social beings, we generally don't like being alone for too long. When we are in the presence of others, it is more difficult, more challenging to reflect, to develop wisdom. We develop wisdom in the space between words. We develop wisdom when we reflect, ponder, consider. The space between actions. When conflicts arise, our minds naturally begin to work on them, like busy bees, immediately, trying to find resolution or integration. We like to sort thought. We like to categorize thought, put it in boxes. This isn't trivial. It's our minds, our mind. Yet on Instagram and other social media platforms imply that rumination is just bad and we can stop it. At times it is necessary. At times, ruminating is reasonable. Research published by Kashdan and Rottenberg, published in Psychological Inquiry, suggests that psychological flexibility, the ability to recognize and adapt to various situational demands, being able to resolve in different environments, going beyond your comfort zone, is essential for mental health and can help us navigate these conflicting agreements. So at times, what we fear when we go beyond our comfort zone and face our fears, there are times this will bring us eventually joy. Even though we instinctively prefer to do similar, the same, change is more likely when reasonable and thought out. Change is more likely to bring joy, the change of wisdom developed, the change of lessons learned, the change of maturing, the change of getting back up, the change of knowing when to detach and when to leave, and when to stay. As we drift further into our exploration, let's acknowledge that not all rumination is the same. Sometimes our minds are caught in what psychologists call counterfactual thinking. The what-ifs and the if-onlys. What if this happened? What if this happened? And what if that happened? And then what if this happened? Our minds, built for staying alive, for survival, consider all the terrible possibilities. This is not helpful on most occasions. We become trapped in regret, brooding, and anxiety. A 2018 analysis by Rose and Ebstud found that upward counterfactuals, how things could have been better, the what-ifs, can sometimes improve future performance, but often at the cost of immediate mood. There are times when we say what if that it can be helpful. There are times when we say what if that it encourages fixation that is not fruitful, that does not resolve. Know the difference. Sometimes we may be in a career position and perhaps we're not happy, and we say to ourselves, what if I went back to university? What if I left this job? What if I started a business or a side hustle? What if I learned to be more assertive with my employer? These what ifs may spark growth. Sometimes what ifs can spark brooding, and that's not okay. Brooding is like a cycle, like a snake chasing its tail. It just becomes worse. Brooding breeds brooding. Reasonable what-ifs can promote resolution, change, wisdom. Then there is the rumination of anticipation, worrying about future events, rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet. They're not even real. Imagining worst case scenarios. This form of rumination can sometimes help us prepare, plan, get ready, perhaps. But often it simply drains our present moment of joy and peace. Ask yourself, does your pattern of ruminating lead to resolution or acceptance for those times there is no answer? Does it help you plan your future while allowing you to enjoy your present? And there's also post-event rumination, where we replay and replay past interactions, analysing and reanalyzing what we may have said or did, how others responded, what it all meant. This can occur with social anxiety when we are anxious about belonging, or it can also affect anyone who cares deeply about their relationships and their impact on others. This is quite complex because human beings who are mentally well form bonds and attachments. These are intrinsically healthy. With every bond, there needs to be a level of detachment, a level of allowing the other person to be who they are, letting the other person make choices and understanding we have limited to no control over the behavior of another. What power do we have? We have power over our minds. We have power over many of our choices. We have power to change. Change is not easy. We have power over the way our mind thinks. This may not be easy. It is a practice. And how do we practice? Through practice, repetition, reflection. Each of these forms of rumination serves a different purpose and requires a different response. So we need to be different. In order to grow, in order to prosper, in order to learn, we need to be different. Being different is uncomfortable. Being different is uncomfortable. It requires going beyond your comfort zone. Each of these forms of rumination serves a different purpose and requires a different response. One-size-fits-all approaches simply doesn't honour the complexity of our lives, of your life. Life is not simple. Life is not an Instagram reel or a YouTube short. Trauma, hypervigilance, and the protective mind. For those who have experienced trauma, firstly, I'm sorry. I feel for you. Rumination often takes on another dimension entirely with trauma. The mind can become hypervigilant, constantly scanning for threats, replaying past dangers, as if to say, never again. Oh no, never again. I'll keep you safe. I will remember what happened again and again and again to keep you safe. The mind says to the human, I will always remember this. I'll hold on to this wound. I'll hold on to this trauma so that I keep you safe. Whereas, in actual fact, the holding on reduces safety, reduces our ability to be in the moment or move on. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, in his groundbreaking work, The Body Keeps the Score, I love this book, explains how trauma changes not just our thoughts, but our entire nervous system. Our physical body holds on to trauma. The rumination that may follow trauma isn't just thinking. It's your body's attempt to process, sort through, categorize, fix, and integrate overwhelming experience. When we understand this, we can approach trauma-related rumination with more compassion. We can become trauma-informed. A trauma-informed approach is founded upon compassion, understanding, active listening, and listening to the person's experience within their situation, not ours. Rather than trying to shut it down, shut the memory of trauma down, we might gently ask, what is my body trying to protect me from? What is my body trying to tell me? Why does this part of my body need me to feel safe? What message is this part of my body trying to send me? We can listen to our bodies through meditation, through body scans, through reflection, through active silence. The silence of solace, when we enjoy and experience silence in order to grow. Grief and the necessary journey through loss. And then, my friend, there is grief. Perhaps the most necessary form of rumination. The most necessary form of rumination we may experience. When we lose someone or something significant, our minds naturally return to the loss again and again. We remember, we yearn, we try to make sense of a world that has fundamentally changed when we lose. When we experience trauma. Dr. Catherine Shear, her research on complicated grief has shown that avoiding this necessary rumination can actually prolong our suffering. So when we avoid grief and the process of grief, this may prolong the suffering. That's why we have rituals such as funerals and get together with friends when a relationship breaks up to help us grieve, to help us process loss. Grieving is an important part of finding peace and self-realizing. Grieving carries with it an element of rumination, or as some call it, overthinking. In many traditional cultures, grief is honoured with specific rituals and timelines. These rituals and timelines recognise that grief requires time and space, sacred space, in order to unfold, dissipate, resolve, perhaps acceptance, understanding. When we lose something we love or face a significant ending, like a divorce or a career change, the rumination that follows isn't something to overcome. It's a path we must walk. As we do so, as we walk this path of grief, we can gradually transform ourselves, our relationship. We gradually transform ourselves, our relationship, we can grow, adapting to what we have lost, finding ways to carry the loss with us rather than being consumed by loss. And this is a process requiring that you are kind to yourself. You are compassionate with yourself. The wisdom of discernment, assessing each instance of rumination. As we continue our gentle exploration, I want to emphasize the importance of discernment. Not all rumination needs to have the same response. Sometimes our circular thinking, the mouse upon the treadmill, keeps us stuck. Sticky feelings, sticky thoughts keeps us stuck rather than moving us forward to a point where we appreciate the present or look towards the future in a positive way. Other times, rumination is positive and allows us to do essential work in resolving and should not be rushed or dismissed. A 2019 study by Costa and colleagues introduced the concept of rumination inertia, the tendency to continue ruminating despite not having any joy as a result. Diminishing returns. They found that helping people recognize when rumination has stopped being useful can be more effective than trying to stop rumination altogether. So, how do we develop this discernment, this ability to say, I will reduce this ruminating rather than stop it? How do we know when to stay with our rumination? How do we know when to stay with our rumination and when to gently redirect it? We might begin by asking ourselves some questions. Is this rumination helping me understand something important? Is this rumination moving me towards resolution or keeping me stuck? Does this rumination connect me with my values, increase my self-awareness, or does it disconnect me from my values and knowing myself? Does my patterns of ruminating expand my perspective? Or does my patterns of ruminating narrow my perspective? Does my patterns of ruminating help me to respond to life with more wisdom or less wisdom? These questions they don't have simple answers, and that's okay. We reflect upon these questions with a curious mind. Wisdom comes from curiosity and acting on that curiosity. Let's develop a more nuanced relationship with our thought patterns. Let's think critically, or learn to do so. Practical approaches, working with rather than against rumination. Now, let's explore some practical approaches to working with rumination, rather than eliminating it or turning away from it. Let's learn to engage with rumination with more skill. These aren't quick fixes, but rather practices that, over time, can help us develop a different relationship with our ruminating minds. Scheduled reflection time. Setting aside specific times for reflection can help contain rumination. Rather than having it spread throughout our day and our night, perhaps you could set aside 20 minutes each evening to journal about what's going on in your mind. Giving yourself permission to fully explore your thoughts during that time, and gently redirecting rumination at other times. You might also have imagery of taking a box off a shelf and then sorting through the thoughts, sorting, categorizing, letting go, and then put the box back on the shelf. Journaling and imagery can really help the process of resolving or managing rumination. Cognitive diffusion. Acceptance and commitment theory offers the practice of cognitive diffusion, learning to see thought as thoughts rather than absolute truths, separating yourself from the thought. You are separate to your thoughts. You do not own your thoughts do not become you. When caught in rumination, we might notice, oh, I'm having the thought. I'm having the thought that I will not solve this problem. Rather than believing I'll never solve the problem, adjust, reframe. A slight shift can create space between us and our thoughts, allowing new perspectives to emerge. The ability to say, my mind is having this thought, that this issue cannot be resolved, but it's merely a thought. I have the power to choose thoughts and to think other thoughts. Draw a line in the sand between you and your thought. Self-compassion practices. It has been shown consistently in self-compassion research, treating ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a good friend reduces rumination. More than self-criticism. More than distraction. How would you treat a good friend? What would you do? What would you think? What would you say? Imagine for a moment that you are a good friend to yourself. We might place a hand upon our own heart space, and say to ourselves, "This is difficult. Many people may struggle with the thoughts I think. May I be kind to myself in this moment. This is difficult. Many people may struggle with the thoughts I think. May I be kind to myself in this moment. This is difficult. Many people may struggle with the thoughts I think. May I be kind to myself in this moment. I'm going to finish with a story to carry with you. As we begin to drift, as we begin to relax, slow down, let's listen to a story. There once was a weaver. Known throughout the land for her beautiful tapestries. People marvelled at the intricate patterns and the vibrant colours of her beautiful work. How she could transform simple threads into images of such depth. And so much beauty. So beautiful. One day, a young apprentice came to learn from her. The master weaver set her to work on her first tapestry, showing her how to work the loom. How to select and how to combine thread. The apprentice was eager to learn, but quickly became frustrated. Her work didn't flow smoothly. She would weave a section, then notice a mistake. Then she would unravel it and begin again. And then begin again, then reweave and reweave, and reweave, over and over. She worked the same section, ruminating on what was wrong, how to fix it, whether she would ever get it right. After watching for some time, the Master Weaver sat beside her. You are troubled by how often you return to the same threads. You feel you must return to these same threads, she observed. Yes, said the apprentice. I can't seem to move forward. I keep going back, thinking about what went wrong, trying again and again and again. It's taking so long. The Master Weaver smiled. Let me show you something, she said, leading the apprentice gently to a magnificent tapestry. Oh my goodness, this tapestry is so beautiful. Hanging on the wall. Look closely, the Master instructed. The apprentice looked closely. The apprentice took her time and looked closely at the beautiful tapestry on the wall. She gasped. What appeared from a distance to be perfect. This work was up close, full of tiny mistakes. Learnings, irregularities, knots, uneven threads, small corrections, lessons. Every tapestry contains the story of its making. The Master Weaver explained, and that's okay. The places where we returned, reconsidered, rewove, these aren't flaws, but the very essence of the work. Without this returning, this rumination, the tapestry would have no depth, no character. She touched the apprentice's shoulder ever so gently, she smiled. Your mind is like the weaver's hands, returning to what matters, working and reworking until the pattern emerges. This isn't wasted time, but the very essence of creating a life of meaning. Feel compassion for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Practice mindfulness. Relax, release your body. Relax, release your body. Walk gently. Through the journey of life and allow yourself to learn through lessons. There is no need to figure it all out now. You don't need to fix everything. Sometimes we put thoughts away on a shelf. Sometimes we accept. Sometimes we close up that box. It's okay. Relax, release your body. Head to toe. Shoulders to fingers. Hips to toes. Back, chest, arms, relax, release, and work through your body. Again, letting go. It's okay. Relax, release your body. Head to toe. Shoulders to fingers. Hips to toes. Back, chest, arms, Relax, release, and work through your body. Again, letting go. It's okay. Relax, release your body. Head to toe, shoulders to fingers, hips to toes. Back, chest, arms, relax, release, and work through your body. Again, letting go. Develop the ability to listen to your body, learn, release, demonstrate compassion.